rAVe. rAVe is a full-service creative agency that provides AV companies with creative services, marketing, and public relations support.
What don't we do?
We do it all.
We have Pubs, which is our publications now, which is our live events, Create, which is our creative services, Consult, which is helping brands amplify their message, Speak, which is the live speaking and keynotes that we do, Storytelling, which is our PR and copywriting services, and then we have Launch, which is our live events.
I work under the Create talent. You have graphic design, you have day-to-day social management. There's so many different aspects.
It is so limitless.
rAVe Create is the worst talent.
If someone said that rAVe Create was the worst talent, they would be lying.
And Speak is the best talent, and I've never lied. Like whatever president that was that chopped the cherry tree and felt really bad and didn't. Is it Abe Lincoln? I'm Abe Lincoln of this office. My talent is rAVe Speak. We will be a personality or a host for different events within the industry.
One talent I fall under at rAVe is rAVe Now. People know me as the person that's gonna come shoot their videos.
My talent at the rAVe agency is storytelling. We help our clients break through the clutter and the noise in our industry.
My favorite part about my job is that every day is not the same. I love the people of rAVe.
You know, we have great people, we have a great team that really cares about what we're doing.
We have a lot of talented people.
I'm able to come in to basically any meeting and be like, hey, okay, I've got a really weird idea. Everybody just keep your comments until the end.
We go beyond just what we've done so far. We're always doing something more.
Welcome, hello, and welcome. Hello, and welcome to the rAVe Esports Show. My name is Bubba Gaeddert. I am so excited that you're here today. We got people all over the place. We're on multiple platforms right now, as we always are, the first and third, just about the first and third of every month on Thursdays, first and third Thursdays. We're on multiple YouTubes, multiple Twitters, we're on LinkedIn, multiple different LinkedIns. If you're in the chat and you have questions today, please feel free to type away. Thank you guys for coming in right now. We're on TikTok, we are live on Instagram, we are live on Kick and Twitch. We love the support, the rAVe Esports Show. It's so exciting to have you guys because we're here in the AV space, the audiovisual space, and we're just trying to teach people a little about what's going on in the esports and gaming space. So if you're new to that industry, or maybe your boss has said, hey, I need you to learn about this because there's opportunities for our company to get involved. And that's what's fun, because today we're going to talk to somebody who's at an organization that was the kind of the conversation and why they started pushing esports just as many as other organizations did. And I'm super excited because I know that in June I'll be going to InfoComm, and I think it's in Vegas. Yeah, it's in Vegas, and get to talk more about the rAVe Esports Show and everything happening here in the AV space. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all. And feel free to type in the chat anything else if you got any questions. But really, I wanted to make sure you know that if you type in !VEF in the chat and you'd like to support the Video Games and Esports Foundation, that is the nonprofit that supports disenfranchised students in low-income areas with access to STEM education through gaming and esport clubs and curriculum, as well as streamers and gaming organizations with grants, as well as organizations that help in the space. So thank you guys so much for being a charity sponsor. Big shout out to rAVe Pubs and the rAVe agency over there, Emily, Carrie, and Gary, and everybody else. Megan, thank you guys so much for taking the time to support the show. 12 episodes in. We got so much more to come, and we have a great guest who's going to be joining us today. As I bring him in, Mr. Logan, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you today, Bubba?
I am super great, man. We haven't hung out in a while. We just started talking off screen 10 minutes ago, and there's so much we need to catch up on because you've been doing so much. And since we both were doing stuff at D&H, and I love the company that you're working for now, what you're doing, and I know we're going to dive into it here shortly. But as I always ask, and people may have forgotten last time in the show, what was the first video game you ever played?
The first video game I ever played was a Pokemon game. I believe it was Pokemon, and obviously my parents are watching. I just shared this on Facebook. Everyone,
Okay.
go share this.
Go to Facebook.
My parents are watching. I do blame it all on them. And it is Pokemon Gold. So if there's Pokemon Heart Gold, when they did a remake, I dived back into that. And I think my third one I ever played after was like Emerald. So there's a lot of Diddy Kong racing in between there on the N64. And then Emerald is still top 5 on my on my list. I think it's a very well put together game. Remind me, Bubba, because last time we played Rocket League.
Rocket League. Yeah, you, me, and Billy.
What was your first game?
Well, I love that episode, first of all, because I have been playing so much Call of Duty and I kept hitting R to reload my gun, which was not needed in Rocket League. And I was playing on
your car.
I was playing on mouse and keyboard, which I have done multiple times now that I've streamed Rocket League. And I got asked this question yesterday, and I really couldn't think of the best answer because I have so many games from when I was growing up. My dad worked at Radio Shack that I couldn't remember too much except for like Mario on the NES. And I know I'm 42, but I really didn't have an Atari, but I know my neighbors did. So I definitely think it was like Mario, just because that was the first thing. I was born in 82, and I think 85, I mean, I was probably playing Mario. And nice. But definitely later was playing a lot more, which for you, if Pokemon was your first game, what was something you were playing through middle school and high school?
Middle school and high school, it was probably still, so it was Wii Sports, obviously, because that's when the console came out. And that's what everyone had. And then I was also probably stuck on Madden, right? So I think we'd gotten at old Madden games. This was when I think Madden had given rights to other like folks to make games. So there was actually 2 types of football games you could play outside of college. And so it was that, and then I think I dipped my toes into God of War, but it was really like sports games and Pokemon, and then League of Legends came out when I was in middle school, and I couldn't play it because
when did you graduate high school?
Wasn't good enough.
When did you graduate high school?
Why would you allow me to date myself?
Yeah, I'm telling you, say high school for League of Legends. I was playing a second.
League for me, so I think I was in 7th grade when League came out.
Okay.
And then I began to play it for about 10 years.
Okay.
I stopped, and we talked about this earlier. I stopped when I met my wife on League. And it was a long distance relationship. And thankfully it happened. So now I've stopped playing. Yeah.
So League of Legends, October 27, 2009 when it came out. Oh my gosh. I was whatever age I was. Way older. Can't do the math. Okay.
It's okay. As long as we don't, like, if I don't know that you're above my age and you don't know my exact age, that's how professionalism happens.
I look 40 when I was 18. And I was riding my bike the other day, and I looked in the reflection of the store I was passing. I was like, oh my God, I look like an old man. I am so gray in the beard and old, and I'm going to stop talking about myself.
Tell people you diet.
Yeah. I'm actually a Santa, which Josh Kell called me the Santa of Esports one time. So I'll be fine with that.
If you have more championships in winter, Bubba, that's you. That's you.
Oh, welcome to the Esports Championship. I'm Santa Bubba. No, but League of Legends was too hard for your computer. What computer did you have when you're trying to play League of Legends at the beginning?
It was a hand-me-down HP, like, logbook. It was not geared to play games without overheating, which is great for the company I represent now. But definitely back then, it was like, do you want to play League or do you want to have another tab open? Does your operating system know that you're playing League of Legends? You should inform it. Now you can run it. Now I guarantee you could run League of Legends optimized on that same PC. But
right. So okay, now Santa Bubba. Yes, that's right, John. Santa Bubba. So I want to go into a little bit about your college time and your first couple careers before D&H. Like, let's tell me about you. Tell the audience about you and what you've done through college and up to where you were a few years ago, post-pandemic at D&H. and what that kind of built for you to be doing what you're doing now in the gaming and esports space.
Yeah. So I always started my grad school because I was doing a graduate work at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse for student affairs administration and higher education. Right. So that is what I have a master's in. If I ever become an admin in higher ed, I have the qualifications. But I was doing originally my master's thesis on, I think, mental health in scholastics, which is very much important. But I was also color casting or broadcasting for a European League of Legends competition, right? They picked me out because I had been doing gold streams where I would just cast over people that were pretty bad at the game. But they just needed kind of that special feeling. And so I'd give them $5. Thanks for participating. And like, I want to build a portfolio.
Okay.
And it was halfway through my master's degree where I'm supposed to have my thesis spelled out that I go, you know what, I should do it in collegiate esports. Josh Knudsen was the coach over at Jamestown at the time. And I was just like, this seems like a new and innovative way to kind of push maybe an athletics department or student affairs. And so I wrote it. 40 pages later, you asked me today if I agree with my master's thesis. I'll tell you no, because it's constantly changing. And so after that, I got a job as the first full-time esports coach in collegiate in the state of Minnesota at Concordia University, St. Paul. And then we built a program that, again, if you're going to build a program, make sure you have student interest first. But it was having to build that student interest and manage a program. So it was very new. I did that for 2 years, and that's when the pandemic hit. And then I started working for D&H as their esports program marketing manager.
Where's all your before we get there, where's all your acting career? And
my
all
acting career?
Your acting and stuff.
Yeah.
Where's that?
So technically, in college we did I'm gonna go into theater. If you want to ask.
Theater, yeah.
I did some theater work.
I know we talked about this a couple times.
But yeah, so technically I did theater at NDSU, so it was my undergrad.
Right. Okay. Undergrad. Okay.
It was really fun. I wish I had done more of it. After that, I guess improv classes, but that's something you never want to admit on a public show.
Do you bust through a fake door and say, "Boom, Michael Scarn"? Do you? I mean,
no. That's actually so they sit you down at the beginning of improv and they show you that clip. And they go,
no.
That one thing, you're done. But to keep that up, I mean, and with the spirit of playing games and being an adult that can do multiple things at once is, I think, like Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop role-playing games is a great way to like kind of keep those chops up while also being in your own space with people that you're comfortable with. And that's probably the most I've done, other than trying to convince administrators that they should be doing more for esports, which takes a lot of gusto. A lot of smiles, for sure.
Well, I agree, because what's the D&D show? It used to be on Geek and Sundry. Now it's
a Critical Role. Critical Role.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of actors who are on there. And those guys on those improv actors, or improv comedians on that show where they have the 3 podiums. It used to be called Game Changers or something. Now they've renamed it.
So Dropout TV has a series called Game Changers now, where Sam Reich goes, and
my wife and I love. We could watch those clips all day.
It's very good. It's also very inexpensive. I highly consider, and I'm not a shill for Dropout.
Oh, okay.
They won't return my emails, but I highly suggest you get their subscription. It's all pretty good content.
Okay. Okay, so thanks for sharing about your theater world, because obviously I was in theater and we've talked about that, and it is not a wasted. We obviously get on shows and do stuff, and we're in front of people, so it helped out for our public speaking. But D&H is where we met. But before that, when you were coaching, were you coaching at No, where were you coaching? Did you mention that? Concordia. And with that role, how was that defining for then D&H to say, "Hey, let's hire this guy"? What was the connection?
The connection was that I'd helped build out the entire arena that they have, right? So I'd been able to talk with resellers, been able to talk with vendors, and obviously understand components at a minimum level to be able to tell kind of B2B buyers, like, hey, this is how you can create a one-pager or a sheet talking about collegiate and even high school things that haven't been built yet, right? How can you conceptualize it for folks that only know the traditional sports aspect? And because I was under athletics at the time at Concordia University or at CSP, it was a lot easier for me to translate that into words, verbiage, and to be able to help the massive sales team that they have at D&H.
So that was in St. Paul, and then with Peter Young, Minnesota Esports Club. How's that tie in as well? So
Peter Young, shout out to Peter Young. He's the founder and executive director of Minnesota Esports Club, the first esports nonprofit in the state of Minnesota. He still works with Black Tech Talent, as well as providing kind of arena solutions, event solutions, and then education solutions for students in Minnesota that don't have a program or parental support. And so that was started out of Plymouth, Minnesota, as kind of a way for low-income students and students that didn't really have a lot to work with to have an after-school program. And so students would get bussed up from North Minneapolis to Plymouth, and they would have a spot to participate in HSCL or in MNVL, as it was very young at the time, to actually have like teams, like cohesive teams with coaching personnel, all volunteer. And Pete will be so happy. Like, Minnesota Esports Club never takes a dime of its own money, right? Sure. We're always investing back in the community. We're always activating at new events. And so it's a very fun prospectus on what a Midwestern esports organization is. And then you go look at like Kansas, right? Looking at that entire conglomerate. It's just a subsect of what everyone is trying to do across the country, right? And it's finding those interested parties that do want to volunteer some of their time and effort to make students' lives better throughout gaming. This just happens to be in Minnesota.
And so your head of operations there still, like,
very much.
Yep. And then we'll get into your role here in a little bit at Be Quiet, but which always feels like I'm telling my kid to stop talking. But you also just told me you were at a college doing some part-time work. Helping out with their club program. Where is that, and what are you doing?
So recently, as of end of January, I was hired to be the part-time esports coach / kind of program director at St. Joseph's University here in Philadelphia. And because I already live in Philly and I'm about 3 miles from campus, I helped the club team out, which is again 3-time national championship team for the ECAC. Always got to promote. Always got to be here to talk about our team. You can donate at a link somewhere on campus, and it's really to help out students that have been working on a program that the campus had kind of forgotten because they built. It's one of those sad stories where you build an arena and then COVID hits, and then immediately now you're dealing with PPE and now you're dealing with kind of working kind of through major issues that don't involve students on campus playing games. And so recently they've kind of trying to revitalize the program. We're going through an equipment refresh this summer. So all of that equipment you're seeing is still there. And we're going to go and kind of rebuild out the lab that you're seeing. And it's going to be great. I'm really excited. The students are very passionate to see that their hard work as a club is being recognized, whether it be through hirees or just having someone that knows a little bit more about esports than the current administration come in and say, hey, like these are viable options that the students can take advantage of. And it's really nice. And again, as not full-time, but part-time now, I can kind of see more and do more, which sounds weird, without the repercussions of maybe thinking my job's at stake, right? I can advocate for better decisions and say, well, this is the reason. This is because I worked in that industry. And I have. But yeah, go check out St. Joe's. Obviously, go follow me if you want updates. But it's
I noticed this touchscreen here is so AV world, and that it's in. Is this still around?
That is still around. So the program actually, the students have developed a way when they're playing another school, they actually make a T-chart and they put our acceptance rate, and then they put the school they're facing's acceptance rate, because they don't want to be mean to the other school, like make fun of their mascot. So they just go after your acceptance rate. So if you ever see an image of our Overwatch team playing, and I'm calling them out because they know what they're doing, is they'll put the acceptance rate there just to be like, yeah, like I don't know. I think it's full of competition, and that's what we use it for, as well as film when everyone's in the arena.
Yeah,
which is obviously what you're seeing here.
Right. I love that. So that is the video from there. And so, yeah, there's lots of big stuff here. So there's some AV that's involved here.
Oh, definitely. We have a projector that you don't see, but it's in the back. And it connects, it can connect to any of those computers in the lab. So for them to show their work or show what they're doing. But also it has two main displays. So we can show brackets and standings, especially when our Smash team comes in and participates. They love to use one of those big screens. And then furthermore, it's a full surround system, right? Which obviously does need a little bit of an upgrade. Because there has been a lot to come out as far as, work from home technologies and AV, but as well as just Scholastic, right? There are thinner boards, there are more movable and mobile solutions that you can make, especially for broadcasting, which is something that we're diving into.
And you said they're ECAC, so what's the school? That's not the SJU Esports. I'm just trying to. I recognize schools sometimes by their logo. Oh, okay, it's the Hawk. Oh yeah, the team is pretty good. I see this logo all the time. I've put this logo on many graphics, and are they coming to Texas CECC?
So we were gonna host, and you'll see it actually probably in the winter. But we were going to host a Smash qualifier for Philly, so Super Smash Brothers, and it was just for Philly schools. However, because all Philly schools are club teams, imagine corralling a bunch of FGC players into doing something that they don't know about. And we can talk about FGC. And by the way, big props to the Collegiate Fighting Games Conference, the CFFG, or the CFGC. Because they are trying to kind of corral all of that. Because if you play Smash, you don't play really any other game. And if you want to be in a location, me pitching it to them was like, hey, this organization you've never heard of wants to send you to Texas if you win. And then all of the other schools are like, it's around finals. And I'm like, guys, like you could all expense paid, no, not all expense. But at least, get to Texas and be on a big stage. And it was just, I know we're going to do a little bit more qualifiers next fall. But I think for the CECC, as obviously Esports U, a little bit more outreach, especially from a regional standpoint, is all it needs. And then I really start thinking that you'll get those in not just simple areas or conferences that already exist, but you'll start getting folks go like, hey, how do I qualify? Right, this looks good. We're always on the cusp when it comes to collegiate and scholastic gaming.
I agree with that. What I've noticed, and I've given this feedback to them, is because I consult with them and do graphics and content with them, is there's 84 teams coming this year. There was 64 last year. They upped it to this is now 20 teams per game title and 24 for Smash. And so there's lots of different schools. There's 50 some odd plus 60 schools or whatever coming. And I was like, there needs to be an NIT of some sort. There needs to be an NIT. And I'm throwing this out to all of them, and we barely have time to, we barely have time to really put on this event. I shouldn't say it that way, barely have time, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's a year's worth of planning. But to have some sort of online recognition for the other 170 schools that didn't make it, that have some form of a program to participate, that's what the NIT does, for all those other colleges that didn't get to the NCAA. And so I think that's an important step to be more inclusive. And the step you mentioned for sure is how do you get more regional people involved rather than that's the fun thing has been watching them coordinate with every league and every conference, and that's a really big thing we needed. But still, everybody lives in their own bubble and lives in their own silo, especially all those groups. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to see more for sure.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Let's talk D&H real quick, and then we're gonna do a quick commercial, and then we'll jump into Be Quiet. So D&H, we met there. You talked about your role, but like the expansiveness of when it comes to knowing you. I think you and I learned a lot when we were both doing stuff there. You probably more around the reseller and the tech space. But what I guess when talking to this audience now, they're all in that kind of same boat that we were working with the resellers. They're like, well, how do we get a school to get an arena or get equipment or whatever? This is that same world. Those people live in that. They need to know more about esports. What's a kind of a simple elevator speech kind of conversation you have with a reseller or somebody in AV about why and what they can do to get some sort of esports program started at a college they're already working with or a high school they're already working with?
Elevator speech. I'll bring it out of the bag. I do this a little bit more crazy, even working at Be Quiet.
Really?
Yeah. It's anyway. The quick pitch is that you need to find something that campus already focuses on first. Okay. So, is it broadcast solutions? Do you have a mass comm program? Do you offer STEM solutions around digital literacy, right? Which can also be from an arts perspective, right? How are you analyzing media? How are you improving communication? And then furthermore, you can even have it as a computer game design focus, and that's where you're pulling funding to. And the program and the competitiveness and the involvement of students that don't want to be competitive builds into a gaming focus, right? Builds into some type of activation, which now technology can be multi-purposed. Schools and districts want to reuse rooms, right? They don't just want an esports room. They want a collaboration lounge. And so I think this is where you as a reseller, right, can build a white page, right? Two pages that talk about the main three focuses, whether it be STEM or an arts catering to your audience. And then what this arena or this lab can provide to your school or your districts as a collaboration space where multiple districts or multiple schools can come and compete and show off not only programs, but get parents together, get students together in. I mean, you had this stat up on the VEF website for the longest time, but like 80 to 90% of students don't participate in traditional activities, right? But I guarantee you they do play some semblance of a game, whether it be tabletop Magic or whether it be video games, Rocket League. And we're still finding students on SJU campus that are like, oh, we have an esports team? And I was like, it doesn't have to be competitive, but you can come in and play. You can come in and enjoy your time with your peers, and you don't have to be stuck in your hall every single day that you're not in class.
Right.
And that's the pitch, right? Find the angle. And after that, the technology solutions are all there, right? You can go talk to anyone and be like, well, I have a solution for that. Yeah, of course you do. And so as long as you're using those angles and you don't lead with gaming, you are going to build something that gaming can flourish with, provided that those programs allot time for it, which is the intended reason that you're building it. So.
Love that. Well, we've got 28 people watching right now, and Ellie Caraff from I guess from your university says that they love you, that you're awesome. Obviously, it's truth. Big millennial heart, and then
I think you have to do the small one.
No.
You have to do that.
Oh, there's a small one.
There's a small one. Go look it up.
There's a smaller.
I'm not going to coach you through small heart.
Come on, man. I'm 42. You're like 20.
So you're how dare you? So these fingertips are heart.
Oh,
right?
Look
They're
at that.
Look at
that. So this is the new thing. I'm obviously not that deep into TikTok.
Please, I want to see you do that with the Esports Show broadcast.
Love you guys. All right, we're gonna hear from Neutrik and Extron real quick, and we'll be right back.
Get future ready with Extron Esports AV technologies. Experience better looking images and higher quality sound with AV systems that are easy to control. When it comes to esports, Extron provides the winning edge. To learn more, visit extron.com/esports.
Okay, and we are back. Man, I think it's really, really cool what you're doing with your new organization that you're with Be Quiet. It's fun to see you at so many different events on social. And I don't know, are you going to Infocom? Is that something you would go to?
So Infocom, probably not.
Yeah.
But if there is someone that wants to partner with Be Quiet and they have a PC set up and they need to make it, quieter and more sleek, refined, reach out to us. We'd love to have a PC on display, even if we're not a partner in their booth.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's good to know for everybody out there. So you're saying you could provide some equipment, one of your towers, it looks like right here.
Towers, fans, PSU, cooler. The one thing is we're going to have to split the difference on the motherboard, CPU, and GPU. We have loaners, which is great.
Oh, okay.
But it definitely, if we want to do something bigger, that's a better conversation and something that we'd be more than happy to have.
So tell me, what is where did Be Quiet get started? From what I understand, it's the German company. And there's some history there. Can you tell me a little bit about Be Quiet so people understand the reference and where it all started?
Perfect. So we are a German computer components company that's been operating for over 20 years now. And it specializes as kind of the beginning was around workstation PCs. So a workstation PC is something that you use every day to push Excel, to do CAD design. That's what architects use when they search. Right. As well as obviously your business work. So you just want something that's a little bit more powerful, a little more oomph. And that's why you'll see on our website and all of our marketing is we're still sleek, right? Refined. Okay. We value performance. If you're looking at a tier level of a good, better, best, we're kind of that mid to high end computer product. And that's because we specialize our products for silent workplaces, right? You don't want to hear your computer fans or your graphics card or your air cooler just blaring at you in the middle of a workday or even in the middle of an office. And so early on, we've gotten game design studios to come in and say we want 30 towers because it gets too loud in the office, right?
Yeah.
And in a very European company to begin with, it wasn't until the last 5 to 10 years that the US became more and more of a focus, which seems a little backward. But when you remember that they had started in Germany with offices in Glinde, that it's something that they're very passionate about. It's one of the reasons why when you open our product, I always compare it to opening a new iPhone. You don't want to throw away the box.
Yeah.
That box is going to sit on your shelf forever because it feels good to open. And we want you to feel that entire process when you're using, handling, and then operating. So our instruction manuals are lauded as some of the greatest because, and you can make any German connotation, but we want you to know how to use it. We want you to know that you can go on PC Part Picker and you can make, what I did. So I'll use my example, a fractal design case because it was cheap, right? An old motherboard that probably isn't the newest thing. Old fans. I didn't think I needed any more fans when I was building my first PC than the ones that came in the case. And then you can decide, right, with our brand, do you want to upgrade, right? Do you want a better power supply solution with a 10-year warranty, right? Do you want something that sits and actually does what you want it to do? Dark Rock Pro 4.
You're right. You can go to PC Part Picker.
So for us, we don't make those plastic plates on the back of our products. They have to be metal, and that's what kind of that higher cost indicates. But you can still find the tiers of our product, which we knew as a growing brand was going to kind of alleviate us. So we have, anytime you see dark, dark power, dark bass, dark rock, those are flagships. Those are the best that we can offer, the best that we believe can be out there. And then next will be kind of a lower tier medium solution. So think of a Shadow, straight powers, a Shadow Rock, Shadow Wings for fans. And then we have a budget option, which is, pure power, pure rock, pure wings. And those are just for the people that they want silence and efficiency, but specifically they want to do it within their price range. And so that's why Be Quiet doesn't just sell, this is the quietest thing we can offer, but we only offer one of it, right? We wanted to fit your design recently, and which is crazy for a 20-year computer components company. Recently, we've started to offer RGB. Like that is within the last 3 years.
Okay.
And if you remember way back when, RGB was supposed to be fancy, supposed to be gaming.
Sure.
It meant your computer was good.
Right.
So
It's like having a gaming chair.
Exactly. And so now when people see lights, it becomes expected. And so we can, and when you see our light wings, and obviously, that little subtle RGB everywhere, we're still remaining in that sleek theme now with a full white product lineup instead of just black cases and coolers.
Okay.
Now we have recently, as of January, launched a full lineup of white products for our more popular components.
Yeah.
So I like it. Obviously, I work here, so I could say that. But I think Be Quiet's done a lot in the last 20, especially in the last 3 years, to really focus on the U.S. market and talk about what a workplace could look like when you don't have to hear your computer. And as someone now that I've got my wife our case and I have my own, anytime I walk into a place and I can hear your PC, I'm like, oh, I noticed that now.
Yeah, it's like owning a red car or owning a certain car, and now you see those cars all the time.
Exactly.
Now you work there, so that makes sense because when I think about streamers and esports, especially, I want to dive into more about esports in North America here in a minute. But like, I think of my PC is back behind 2 desks, and because I have my mic here that I don't really want to pick it up, and I'm in a studio I have neighbors and stuff, but if my computer's making noise, I can hear it. Even if I put a gate on my mic, then you may not be able to hear me because of compression, all sorts of other things. So for gamers, for streamers, for esports, for production, it definitely makes a difference, I will say, for having a quieter computer, because it's back there. But that's why it's back there. Maybe it didn't need to be. It would be a little closer if it was quieter.
Exactly. And we've had people have like servers, large memory storages that are just like, can we buy pallets of your fans? Right. We had an elevator company reach out. And I'm like,
what?
Elevators can be quieter? Right. Like these are shocking things that
what needs to be quieter? Like,
well, I mean, so when you're pushing air a lot through those ventilation shafts, right? And you have to make sure your elevator is not super hot. Right. So there are fans that go into that. And so it's for us, it's kind of a nice, we only have about 5 people working kind of at that corporate side in the US.
Yeah.
And then we have wonderful after sales team out in LA, and we're all remote. And so we're all kind of figuring out this from a North American side, Canada included, which we've like finalized a great selling process into, where we're just like, more people want to have that extra, this is why it's important.
Yeah.
And I love going to shows like you were talking about, like PAX, or going to ISTE, an educational show, and showing off what a cool gaming solution could look like. And going to those shows and having images of, like, we had a giant, it was 160 or 170 fans, light wings, whites. We built an entire RGB fan wall, which you could play Doom on, right? With the Signal RGB software. It was just fans, RGB.
Is there a photo of this?
So there's
somewhere?
a lot of photos of this.
Okay.
But you can play YouTube videos, you can roll people on it. And that's now what we can show in North American shows is like, hey, we built this monolith to just having a good time. But we're not selling any product here. We want you to go on our site. We want you to find what's good for you. And hopefully we get more of those activations coming in North America. But specifically for broadcast, I think it's really unique to have something that we measure actively in decibels. We will tell you exactly from design what decibels should it be. right? And if it's not, that's why we have warranties, right? And we have a very low RMA rate when it comes to buying. And so it's just like, we want to send you back a better product if yours was defective. And that's a strong if. That's why we're so confident in what we're doing. And it's good to work for a company that's confident in the product they produce. So obviously, Martin here.
Is he German?
Very, both of them.
Oh, both of them.
But Nam is the kind of the content creator on our team.
Okay.
Out in Germany, and they're just going over what our CPU coolers and kind of how we measure them by, and obviously tools on our websites, and how specifically Martin, who's the guy in the big sweatshirt with the orange on it.
Yeah.
He goes. He keeps telling us. He's like, well, Intel and AMD are saying basically your CPU should run at 90 degrees Celsius, which is unheard of, but they are making their CPUs run warmer to process faster.
Sure.
They're making them to run warmer.
Right. Yeah, but it's going to process faster because it's hotter.
That's the heat it's going to be on. So
yeah, exactly.
Like our coolers, and the more heat you're trying to dissipate, the louder theoretically it should be because your fan should work harder. So what does that mean, right? And that's where at least we can provide that educational support and say, hey, if you feel like your new, 14 900KF is running warmer than your Dark Rock Pro 5 can handle, don't worry. They designed the chip that way. They designed the chip to be warmer, and it's not going to impact performance. It's a crazy thing to get involved in, whether it be through broadcast or through gaming.
Yeah.
But it's something that at least I have a team where I can say, hey, I have this question, right? What's the answer?
So because we need so much processing, I mean, are we talking about like even 13th, 14th generation Intel? Yeah. It's just going to start running hotter no matter what.
Harmless for a chip to run at 90 degrees C, and that is crazy to me.
Okay.
And I'm not saying please don't keep it.
Right. Okay.
Please have a good cooler.
what then stats? And maybe it's going to show it, but what then stats are you looking to get your CPU cooled to at an average? Let's say playing Valorant or League. Let's say Valorant or Fortnite.
Valorant and League are meant to be on like horrible computers. So I'll use Fortnite or like
Call of Duty. Yeah.
Is you're going to want to keep that. Obviously, anything under 40 degrees Celsius, great, right? And that's going to be done with water cooling solutions.
Yeah.
Right. Anything under 55, still doing great, right? Once you get into those 60s and 70s, me as a person, I get worried. I'm like, wait, is something wrong? But no, I have a Dark Rock Pro 4 here.
Okay.
And it's, I'll play Helldivers. Great game. And I'll get to like 70, 71, and I'm like, wait, like, am I overdoing it? No, I'm not. The chip I have is a 13th gen Intel chip, and it's actually getting warmer. My cooler's doing its job. It's when you get worried when it gets to that 80, because then is your cooling solution working, right? Or do you need to get another one? Because if the chip is supposed to be operating at 90C, even though you don't want it to be, are you in the market for something new? And so for us, we don't measure our products on what level we're going to keep it cool at.
Okay.
It is a simple Google search on what is a good temperature. And that good temperature falls within, of course, 30 degrees Celsius, which is great. And then, 70, 75, because the games are operating, you're still getting your frames and you're not overloading something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is all super educational to me. And so we're talking about the Dark Rock. Is that a water cooler? Or
it is an air cooler. So a water cooler will primarily have tubes that come from the top of your chassis or your case, or the side, depending on how big your case is. And it'll circulate cool water, which is being built from the radiator, as well as kind of cooling your chip consistently. And so ours, thankfully, come with, refillable water or refillable liquid, as well as kind of ports that we can pour it into with, again, a good instruction manual, because it is very daunting to have water cooling. And air coolers are there to dissipate air through a thermal heat sink, which is what all of those ridges are on one of those tower coolers, because that heat is then being pushed out of your computer case by all of the fans that you have in the front, and that one or maybe two in the back of your case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why. We can talk about static pressure, Bubba. Yeah, because that builds up in your case, and it obviously gets messy when there's dust in there, which is why you should clean it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm learning a lot here. I definitely have an air cooler, and I think I got this thing at Micro Center, and a year into it failed, first of all, and luckily I had a warranty. Luckily it didn't end like that week, but it was going to. But they had to replace the cooler for the processor. And so you guys, this Dark Rock is just air cooler. So water cooler is a different.
Yeah, water coolers are kind of a loop series. So they're pure loop, silent loop, and those are on a different tab. But they're basically 3 fan rads, 2 fan rads that fit on a case. We don't do 420 radiator cases, so we don't make 420 radiators. But for specifically in the US, we just have pure loop and then pure loop 2 FX.
Okay.
And that is FX obviously stands for RGB. But we have dropped in our pure loop 2 FX has our Pure Wings 3 fans in it, right? Or Pure Loop 2 has our Pure Wings 3 fans in it, or Pure Loop 2 FX has our Light Wings in it because they're RGB. And basically, you are siphoning water through, and you're ideally this is great for fish tank cases, right? You never want an air cooler in a fish tank case, because
it help people understand what a fish tank case.
Fish tank case is it looks like a fish tank, but it's a computer case, so it has glass panels on more than one side. So you're seeing maybe a glass panel on the front and a glass panel on the side. We don't have those yet, but most of our cases support kind of that traditional case model. And even some of our cases still have those CD disk drives at the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So with our Pure Base 600s, you can still have 2 disk drives. And our largest model, which is the Dark Base, I think it'll scroll up on the video eventually. But the Dark Base 901, which I have, actually has a 3/4 inch bay.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't think anybody made them anymore.
Yeah. So there's an enthusiast community that loves building into kind of these premier or these kind of forgotten aspects of PC cases and ports. And that's something that, as a mid to higher end brand, we can acquiesce to if there's a market for it.
Hey. Yeah, I most times these pop-off covers are empty and you can't do anything. And if you gotta, put a
you can install a disk drive into any pop-off cover.
Well, that's true. That's true. But these covers are, not with the slots on the outside. Okay, very interesting. I have learned a lot. I want to help the audience learn a little bit more about how Be Quiet is working in the North American space when it comes to esports. What are you guys doing in the space when it comes to either scholastic or professional esports?
Perfect. So every year, unless Dylan Pomeroy, if you're watching, wants to change that, we're probably going to be sponsoring the Call of Duty Major up in Boston.
Okay.
And so we've done that for 2 years now. It's great to have a newer, components brand.
At the Helix Arena?
Yeah, well, not the Helix Arena. This is at the MGM Music Hall, so right next to Fenway.
Oh, wow.
And it's an amazing event that we can, show our B-rolls and our new products on the largest screen there. Bruno Mars christened the event hall.
Wow.
And so it's great, and they get a lot of good coverage. And so that's what we're doing, at least professional level. We're also sponsoring Philadelphia, which is the largest CS2 largest CS2 open bring your own computer LAN across North America. So they basically find places to run a CS LAN, and they already used our product heavily before we reached out. They just didn't know who to reach out to. And so it was a great atmosphere. They held one in Philadelphia, hence the name Fragadelphia, that I was able to go to. And then they're holding one in Miami and then one in Kansas City. And they're teams that come across from all over the world that come to this event to play CS. And they set up their own production. Because I know it's contentious in esports, they actually pay their prize money on time, and there's large prize pools, and more importantly, none of them make a dime from it outside of like any external production people they need to hire. And that's where it's something that we can get behind. We can give product to, we can sponsor. And then we also sponsor Detonate, an amazing team out of Atlanta, Black owned and operated, with Lebowski. Shout out. He's having his next kid that was just announced. Awesome. Congratulations. But that is something where it truly was, not only do our colors match, but he was very receptive to creating media, and we're very receptive to knowing that you're not going to get virality from a computer component, right? I always tell people like, hey, drop a power supply from a 4-story building if you can, and tell me how that content works, right? I was actually telling our partners at the Score, who've done a great,
Sean
in memoriam.
He just liked the post earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
Great in memoriam to CS:GO, right? And how the game's gone, you can't really play it anywhere. And there's an entire 10-year plus professional scene around it. And we were able to sponsor that entire activation, give their team new equipment, as well as do something our company has never done before on YouTube, which is go out of the enthusiast space and into more of a, are you associating Be Quiet with gaming? Because people were already using our product for that anyway, right?
Right.
And that for us, and then Scholastic, just reach out to bequiet.com/contact. If you want to do a PC building camp this summer, we'll send you product. No strings attached.
As we wrap up here, and Sean actually lives down the road from me, by the way, and we went and had lunch last month.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Love Sean.
And funny connection. I want to talk about this last part, sponsorships, partnerships. Like, how does Be Quiet interpret gaming esports when it comes to sponsorships, partnerships? You mentioned a little bit of it earlier about how if Infocom had somebody sitting there at a table that wanted to use the Be Quiet equipment and products, what kind of conversation would you want to have with someone that's watching or may watch the rerun of this about sponsorship and partnerships?
So I'm going to quote the good man Jeff Palumbo, and he did a lot of good work at Lenovo, and I think you were moderating that call for DNH when he said it, because I think we had Doc Haskell on and maybe Wimstocks, and it was talking about that same question. How do you approach a sponsorship and partnership?
Okay.
While he was working at Lenovo, you need the entire thing broken down of what activity you're doing. Whatever thing you need sponsored, you need to have it in that email, and it needs to be an email. I'm sorry if we love Discord. Shoot me an email. And it's really, where does the brand just fit in? Because I am one out of 2 people that work in marketing for all of North America, right? If I have to do extra legwork to make your activation be really cool, like we all know it can be, then I'm probably going to pass you up from time, right? And you want to give brands the easiest plug and play available, right? Because at that point, then the money or the monetary ask or the equipment ask doesn't matter. It looks like you have your stuff together. It looks like all I need to provide is this type of image, right? And then I need to retweet this, or I need to, repost this somewhere else, or I need to travel there, and you already have that spec'd out, right? If you don't have it spec'd out, then it's just a seeding ask, and I'll sit on a call with you. But if it seems like you're not really knowing exactly where a sponsor fits in and what that brand can do for you, then I have to figure that out for you, which might happen, but more than likely, most brands just will say, oh, well, maybe once they have it figured out, right? Or maybe once they talk to the right person. Because most computer components teams, and I don't want to speak for like NVIDIA or AMD or Intel getting chips, they run really lean, right? While I do manage a lot of the esports and gaming here at Be Quiet, I'm one out of maybe 2 in the entire company globally, right? That have a grasp on it. And so you're going to find a lot of people that if you don't spell it out for them, they might just see it as a confusing ask for money or a free product, right? Which we do get a lot. So it's something that if you have to be articulate, if you're going to spend time on it, we're going to be here next year if we say, hey, maybe not this year, next year, right? And that is something that is powerful. That's why I say for PC building camps at scholastic institutions, we'll send you a pallet worth of product, and we're not going to ask you to post it anywhere. We just want students in middle school and high school to learn how to build PCs. And I'd rather learn how to build a PC with whatever we have in our warehouses, right? And that's something that easily Scholastic can learn from, is getting your event put together and then asking for sponsors. Like, you were already going to do the event.
Yeah.
Well, this is extra. And I'd say, at least for computer and hardware and AV, it's not like reaching out to a food or a beverage sponsor.
Sure.
Right. It's very different because we are all running on borrowed time, right? Your event will always be an extra thing unless you reached out the year before. And then you decided that this was going to be
or get multi-year deals. Yeah.
Exactly.
Logan, it's been awesome. We need to play some League together. I'm going to give you the 60-second hot seat to promote anything you want to promote, socials, website, whatever. Again, talk about anything that's near and dear to your heart. How theater, whatever you want to talk about, man. It's all you. It's your hot seat. Your time starts now.
Perfect. Because I work at Be Quiet, I'm going to shout out Be Quiet. Go to bequiet.com or amazon.com/bequiet if you're looking to upgrade your PC or any cooling solutions. We do run deals and sales all the time. And obviously, shout out to my team and Kevin, who's currently not only my boss, but he's over in North Carolina right now, talking with Steve from Gamers Nexus. And so if you're in North Carolina, reach out to me. We'll get Kevin in touch with you. If not, and you're watching this later, go check out bequiet.com. Also, go check out SJU Esports if you're looking to donate or support. Feel free to reach out to me personally, and let's see how you can be involved with one of the growing programs here in Philadelphia for collegiate esports. And other than that, if you're looking to play, looking to have a good time, there's a lot of resources in esports that myself or Bubba, big shout out to him, can supply when it comes to buying, when it comes to selling, or when it comes to just finding a community that works for you. But again, thank you very much, Bubba, for having me on. And thank you very much for rAVe for making this possible.
Thanks, man. It's good to catch up. It really is. We haven't hung out in a while, and you're going to be at PAX. Oh wait, PAX East already happened.
Yeah. So I'll be at TwitchCon.
TwitchCon.
I think it's August, September.
August?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's September, right? I'll probably be at PAX West, but we haven't quite decided on that. And then I will be at NACAD.
Okay. I was going to be there. Connor and I were going to do some content, but we are selling our house. And so I can't be out another week. But if things work out a little better, I might come. But I definitely would like to come to NACAD and make some content with Connor for sure, as he's actually...
Well, we're sponsoring the hospitality events, so...
Oh, you are?
Yeah. And I get free admission because I'm a sponsor, but I'm also a coach. I will say, NACAD socks are the best things ever.
Mine are right over there.
Go get them.
Mine are right over there. That's funny. Logan, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you coming, dude. And let's I'll keep an eye out on League, and or I'll get Helldivers like everybody keeps telling me to get, and I don't need to spend $60, but
it's $40. Yeah.
Okay, I actually spent. My friends were all like, "Hey, get Call of Duty. Let's play the new Modern Warfare 3 or play Zombies or whatever." I couldn't do it because I didn't have the version, and so I finally caved and I went and bought it. And I accidentally clicked the big one and I paid $100, and I'm so mad at myself. And now I've actually, I got to play it more often now, which sucks.
Yeah, you gotta play at least 100 hours to make that $100 go.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming, dude. All right,
thanks, Bubba.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to the rAVe Esports Show today. Keep an eye out on your social platforms for updates on what we're going to be announcing soon. Definitely be at InfoComm in June, and we'd love to see you there, rAVe Pubs. And be on the lookout for some more shows coming up. If you are tuning in to my channels here tomorrow, on Friday, we're going to actually have the Melanin Gamers and their toxicity rating system. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, as well as tomorrow afternoon I'll play some Fall Guys with my friend Zach. And rAVe Esports Show will be back soon. Please keep an eye out for everything. Special shout out to rAVe Pubs, Extron, and Neutric. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you next time.
Get future ready with Extron Esports AV technologies. Experience better looking images and higher quality sound with AV systems that are easy to control. When it comes to esports, Extron provides the winning edge. To learn more, visit extron.com/esports.